Hi, it's Vex, and today we have our first and only commander, Ghyrson Starn from Warhammer 40k Commander decks. That's right, our commander is an Izzet commander, one blue red, and I cannot pronounce that word, so however you want to pronounce it, tell me in the comments. Legendary creature, Tyrannord human, Ward 2. Everything has Ward 2, of course, right? 3 auto stubs, of course 3. That's the magic number of Ghyrson. Whenever another source you control deals exactly 1 damage to a permanent or player, including you, Ghyrson Starn deals 2 damage to that permanent or player. Okay, let's see what our deck wants to do. Our deck obviously wants to deal exactly 1 damage to permanents and players, not ourselves. And yes, if you deal 1 damage to yourself, Ghyrson Starn will deal 2 damage to you as well. So do not put Shivan Reef in your deck. Do not put that Pain Land in your deck. You'll take 3. So you take this deck in multiple directions. You can go the Spellslinger direction with cards like Keswick Flamebreaker. So creatures, where you cast a spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So you can cast a bunch of spells that do 1 damage itself, or trigger these creatures to do the damage. You can do Pingers, with the classic one being Prodigal Sorcerer, where you tap, deal 1 damage to any target. And then Ghyrson Starn would deal an extra 2 damage, so you tap, deal 3 damage, bolt everything. It's pretty cool. Or, in the hidden mode, creatures. For instance, we could do unblockable creatures. Blue has a lot of unblockable creatures that you just, you attack, deal 1 damage, then Ghyrson would deal the extra 2 damage. So as long as you deal 1 damage, it doesn't matter how you deal it, combat, non-combat, it doesn't matter. Ghyrson will deal the extra damage. Prodigal Sorcerer deals 1 damage, right? Then Ghyrson would trigger and deal the other 2 damage. So it's not like 3 full chunks at the same time, but does 1 and then 2. So remember that. Which direction did I take this deck? Well, creatures are the weakest because you need a lot of creatures and you can't do mass damage and you have to attack here. Because a pinger, it's easier just to tap and ping than to tap, attack, maybe have unblockable, maybe they don't block. So pingers are much better than creatures, so take that out of the equation. You could do spell slingers, which, I do have some spellslinger items like Keswick Flamebreaker. This is quite different because it triggers on non-creatures, so even artifacts and enchantments will trigger it. Planeswalkers will trigger it. So I do a light spell slinging this, but mostly I'm going after the pingers. This is the direction the deck is about because I love just sitting back. I don't need to attack, which is great. I just, you play your 6 power or 6 toughness commander like Madrotha. I could just ping, have another creature, ping, kill it. So I could do major creature control, which does put a target on your back. But you know what? This is commander. Every commander has a target on their back nowadays. With our theme now determined that we're going to go pingers, I'm going to show you the tokens here. Not a lot of tokens because I always say you got to have your tokens. So don't forget your 3 tokens for the deck because all we're doing is pingers. And these spirit tokens deal 1 damage too. Our 1/1s can deal a damage. So that's cool. And I have the deck list in the description below along with all my cool affiliate links if you want to support the channel. All right, let's go to the deck tech. Remember in the beginning when I said it's important to note that Ghyrson himself is the one dealing damage? Well, because he's the one dealing damage, you can just equip Ghyrson with Basilisk Collar, which gives him lifelink and Death Touch. I pointed out the wrong things. Death Touch and lifelink, meaning that his 2 damage would just destroy things. Or Gorgon's Head, which is not as good as Basilisk Collar, just Death Touch right there. So that's the important part. These 2 cards are in the deck because it just turns Ghyrson into a machine gun killing animal. If you ping something with your pinger, then the Ghyrson would deal damage, the Death Touch will take effect, and will kill whatever you're pinging. The first set of pingers are called the player or opponent pingers. And the cool part is that these 4 have ways to untap themselves, which is really, really neat. Goblin Fireslinger does not have a way to untap itself, but is only a 1-mana pinger, so it's really cool. And it only does it to 1 player. I really wanted to keep this card because, I just want to play it, hopefully one day, play it first turn, and then next turn just ping a player, just for funsies. But we have the red pingers. Most pingers are in red. They start off the game in blue, with the Prodigal Sorcerer being nicknamed as Tim. And then they've moved to red because obviously it makes more sense dealing direct damage in red. But we have these cool ones that have, This one does target player. This one's each opponent, each opponent, each opponent. These three each opponent ones are much better than target player. However, they have untap clauses. So this is when you play a red spell, untap. When you cast a colorless spell, untap. We do have some artifacts, but mainly, you know, we can, as long as we can untap in extra time, you know, every other turn, it's still really good. Because Nettle Drone is technically devoid right there, so it's colorless. Blister Spit Gremlin. It does cost you 1, so this is a rare occasion because usually they're all free to tap. 1 tap, deal 1 damage to each opponent. It does also have a 1 mana value casting cost. Then when you cast a non-creature spell, untap it. So this is a little bit more mana intensive, but it's really cheap to get on the board. Then you have Thermal Alchemist, which I love. It's a defender. And then deals 1 damage to each opponent. Cast an instant sorcery, untap it. So this is non-creature spell, instant sorcery. But it's really cool. So always pay attention to these triggers. I know if you get like, you know, 5 of these on the board and they have all these different triggers untap, just pay attention. Untap at the right time. Deal tons of damage. You can always hold people hostage, I guess. Hostage situation where you're like, they're at 3 damage. You can kill them at instant speed. With Ghyrson, you can be like, hey, if you do this for me, I won't kill you. And they can't really say no, because if they try to do anything, you just kill them at instant speed and then remove whatever spell or ability from the stack. So don't forget that political aspect of this card as well. The next set of creatures are the general pingers. They could essentially say, tap, deal 1 damage to any target. These were printed before the Dominaria, the original, the Dominaria 2019 set errated it to say any target, meaning creature, player, or planeswalker. Not a lot of them have this untap ability because that'd be really broken in pingers that could ping anything. So, but for the most part, all these tap, deal 1 damage to any target. This is the original Prodigal Sorcerer, or this is a reprint of the original Prodigal Sorcerer from the original Alpha set. Some have haste, like Cunning Spark Mage. This has Unearth, so some extra ability here. Prodigal Pyromancer and Sorcerer are the same card, just color shifted. Then we have more cards. You have an old card, Zern Spellcaster. You know you're supposed to cast spells, but it does ping damage. It's weird. Whatever. They named stuff weird back in the day. You have Flying Pingers. You have the cheapest one, the 2-color pingers. I love right here, a red and a blue. 2-color pinger. Glectrode. This does have the untap clause. Whenever you play instant or sorcery spell, you may untap it. So it's one of the more powerful 3-mana pingers. And the most powerful one, Goblin Sharpshooter. Let's take a little gander at Goblin Sharpshooter. This is the most expensive pinger because it is that good and has not been reprinted in forever. It does not untap during untap steps, so remember that. But whenever a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter. Tap, deal 1 damage to essentially any target. So you can machine gun down creatures. You hit a creature for 1, have Ghyrson deal the extra 2, kill it, untap it, deal 3 damage, untap it, deal 3 damage. So if anybody has a token army, you play Goblin Sharpshooter, and then next turn, you can just bam, 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 kill everything. Extremely powerful card, the most valuable pinger. This next section of creatures that do pinging, I call it the other section right here. Izzet Statcaster is a cool one. It is a rare one because it does creatures, not players or any target. It has Flash Haste, which is really cool. It deals 1 damage to target creature and each other creature with the same name as that creature. Speaking about mowing down tokens, as long as the token has the same name, maybe it's a 1/1, bam, or 3/3, tap it, destroy everything with the same name. Rampaging Frostodon, I think that was banned in standard at one point, which is incredible to believe. 3/3 menace. Players can't gain life. That's important because if you have Basilisk Collar, that also means you can't gain life with its lifelink ability. But whenever another creature ETBs, it deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Can multiply to 3. So we're really anti-tokens here, aren't we? Essentially, these 2 cards are anti-tokens because a bunch of tokens in ETB deals 3 damage to the player. Gom Chain Whirler, triple red, hard, not the easiest thing to cast because it's triple red. First strike, but when ETB deals 1 damage to each opponent, creature, and planeswalker they control. So this could be a board wipe for, again, tokens. So with Ghyrson on the board, it just reads 3 damage. Then we have Keswick Flame Breather and Firebrand Archer. You cast a non-creature spell. They both have the same text, essentially. Deals 1 damage to each opponent. So Ghyrson out, you cast a Soul Ring, you do 3 damage to each opponent. That's 9 total damage, so it adds up super fast. One of the cards I really like is Immolation Shaman. You don't see this very often. 1 red. When our opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land that isn't a mana ability, deals 1 damage to that player. So, fetch lands would trigger Immolation's Shaman. The pay 1 life does not trigger the Ghyrson part, but the fetch land itself would deal 1 damage. And then we have our big fatties that deal 1 damage. I know, you would think big fatties deal more, but Infernal Titan, I love this card, and this is the Secret Lair art. It looks gorgeous. When ETBs, deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. Of course, you can do 3 damage to each opponent, which would triple to 9 damage. Niv Mizzet is insane. Whenever you draw a card, deals 1 damage to any target. The other one, whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target as well. Here, this one's more powerful because whenever a player, including you, casts an instant sorcery spell, draw a card, which also does the pinging, which is amazing. This one is tap, draw a card. We do have some untapping synergies since our deck requires a lot of tapping in the deck. So this one's good, but not as good as Niv Mizzet Perun. Except for Niv Mizzet Perun requires 6 different colors of mana to cast. Another difficult casting cost for this deck. After the creatures, we want to have some spells that do some pinging that can trigger some of our Spellslinger pingers. We have Spikefield Hazard. I love this because it's a mono double face card, or it can just do 1 damage to any target. Fire Ice, mostly the fire part. Here you do 2 damage, divide any way you choose. So 1/1, of course. But you have the Ice where you need a cycle. You need to tap something, cycle. You can always tap something in somebody's upkeep, essentially time walk them because they don't have that mana. I love this next card, Electrolyze. This is the card that kind of puts these 2 cards together. 2 damage, any way you choose. Draw a card. Perfect. Then we have a new card from Dominaria United. Here, Smash at Dust. And I really like this card. It's a modal card. 1 red. Destroy target artifact. Extremely good. Destroy target creature with Defender. Extremely not good unless you're playing against Arcades. But it has 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, which is 1 damage board wipe. With Ghyrson, it's a 3 damage board wipe. So very good there. And if you don't have Ghyrson on the board and they have tons of tokens, you can still deal 1 damage. Or you destroy target artifact, target Soul Ring, of course. And the festivities, 1 damage to each opponent, each creature, and planeswalker they control, so everywhere. Then you have Fiery Confluence, which is choose 3. 1 damage to each creature. Excellent. The Rarely Chosen mode, 2 damage to each opponent, and destroy target artifact. You can choose 3, any combination of 3, just choose 3, destroy target artifact 3 times. Deal 2 damage to each opponent, 3 times. Or 1 damage to each creature, which equals 9 damage, almost a Blasphemous Act. So it's really cool there. You can use it as finishing blow. Somebody's at 6 life. You can do that. The 2 damage to each opponent doesn't get the Ghyrson bonus, but can be used as a finisher. So I think that's pretty neat. I've always, in Flame Fusillade, ever since this was printed, I opened this up in a pack in Ravnica, original Ravnica. I've always wanted to play this, and now finally, this is the deck to play it. This turns everything into a pinger. Until end of turn, permanents you control gain tap this permanent deals 1 damage to any target. And the cool part is even tokens, enchantments, lands, artifacts, everything. Every single permanent can just boom, tap, deal 1 damage. So that is amazing. This is an insane finisher. And I haven't drawn it yet, but when I do draw it, I'm going to be super happy. Even if Ghyrson's on the board, this is just a great card. Here we have the last section. Here are the other pingers. Staffinen is a pinger. Tap it, deal 1 damage to any target, which is really cool. It does cost 6, is doubly expensive as any other pinger. However, at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. This is not a good card. Okay, this is a pet card. Sometimes you just have fun pet cards. I love this card. Back in the day, back in M13, I love just seeing it around in standard on occasion. And I just love this card, so it's just a fun card to have around. However, you have mean cards like Mana Barbs and Burning Earth. What's the best way to make players take damage? Well, they both read very similar. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, this deals 1 damage to that player. So they tap a land for mana, boom, take 1, then take 2. So tapping lands are very painful. You might want to have a discussion beforehand. It's like, hey, you were playing these 2 cards. You got to win somehow, right? Burning Earth is when you tap a non-basic land. Now remember, remember, it's important to remember this. This is when a player, and this one also says a player, does 3 damage to you. So always have the upper hand before you play these cards, because these cards can kill you. So don't forget that. It's very important. And Flame Fuselage also gives this permanent tap deal 1 damage if that ever happens, even enchantments. With any Izzet deck, you want card draw. We have the traditional card draw right here: Rhystic Scythe, Fact Fiction, 2 Modal Double Face cards, Secret Restoration, Valakut Awakening. Very good card draw. Jessica's Will, one of the best red spells out there. Light Up the Stage. Has Spectacle. You may cast a spell for a spectacle cost if an opponent lost life this turn, including dealing that 1 damage. Exile top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You get to play those cards. So very traditional card draw. Now, towards the card draw that really matters, this top section here, we have Curiosity, Ophidian Eye. Essentially, these are auras that say, when an enchanted creature deals damage, any type of damage, not just combat damage, to an opponent, you may draw a card. So this, this goes infinite with Niv Mizzet. You could do that. You could attach Curiosity to Ghyrson. That's the important part. Remember, Ghyrson deals the damage. And if you do damage to the opponent, draw a card. This is also can trigger multiple times with multiple Ghyrson triggers. If you do damage to each of your opponents at the same time, will trigger Curiosity 3 times. These 3 things are excellent in helping Ghyrson draw a lot of cards. Tandem Lookout is the creature version of that. Essentially, this has Soul Bond. When this enters or other creatures enter, you can soul bond these things together, mostly this way, right there. And essentially, it has the same text as these 2 cards. So these 3 cards allow your pingers to draw tons of cards. And the cool part about it is you attach it to Ghyrson, all your pingers start drawing cards as long as they're pinging the opponent. This helps keeps you going through your deck, playing more mana, always having your land drops, dealing tons of damage. This is the Wombo combo, and super fun. Of course, we have our traditional removal. Red is usually known as damage-based removal. We have some blue removal here that doesn't, sometimes you have big creatures or blight steals that are indestructible you need to remove. We have Resculpt that can exile artifacts and enchantments. Cyclonic Rift is, of course, Cyclonic Rift. Chaos Warp, get rid of, those nasty permanents that you don't want around. Vandal Blast, destroy more artifacts. Blasphemous Act. Sometimes your opponent's creatures need to be all removed. A board wipe is necessary, just in case. We have these 2 board wipes. We don't have a lot. We do this because we have the pingers that do the board wiping for us. Then we have Shatterskull Smashing. This can also deal 1 damage to 2 things, but it's also a Modal Double Face card. Can act as a land. We actually have a lot of Modal Double Face cards in this deck, but we did trim on lands because our mana curve is really low because our pingers are 3. We're basically trying to play a lot of 3 mana spells, so we play a lot of Modal Double Face cards to help us use our excess mana wisely or turn to a land if necessary. The last set of cards before our ramp in mana is utility cards. You love our Graveyard Hate, Lightning Greaves, a little light protection for our Ghyrson. 1,000-Year Elixir, you could just essentially, they could tap as if they had haste, or you could pay 1 tap this to untap target creature, so you double ping. That's insanely good. And what's more better, of course, I'm not sure if that's even the right set of words, more better, Willbender, 3 blue. Whenever a creature and opponent controls becomes a target of a spell or ability, including your ping ability, even your 1,000-Year Elixir counts too. It's insane. Then you gain control of that creature for as long as you control Willbender. So it's an extremely good card. You have lots of things that target, even if you don't kill it, maybe you could target a Blightsteel, steal it with Willbender. It's insane. Then we have our 2, I call it legendary copiers, and copy legendary creatures without being legendary-ish themselves. These 2 copy Ghyrson and just double, triple the damage. This one plus 2 damage, plus 2 damage. So if you had these 2 copying Ghyrson, you do 1 damage. It does 6 additional 6. So it just multiplies greatly the damage output you're doing. But I'm not sure if I should ever cut back on these cards, because if you're playing blue and your commander does something really cool and you need to have more copies of your commander, these 2 are the go-to cards to do that. Some ramp. We do want to eventually play 2-3 drops in 1 turn, or do draw a bunch of cards and play a lot of things. Our ramp is mainly 2 drops. Right here, Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, the Signets, and various Izzet or colorless mana rocks. We have Midnight Clock help you refill your hand. I know it's a 3-drop. It's kind of, 3 drops are really clogged in this deck. But I really like that you drop all your little dudes, play everything, then Midnight Clock help refill your hand. Before we go into the actual mana base, let's talk about the utility lands. You have Shivan Gorge, 2 red, tap, deals 1 damage to each opponent. So our lands can even trigger Ghyrson. In Desert, right here from Raven Knights originally, tap, add 1, or deal 1 damage to target attacking creature. Plays ability only during the end of combat step. So you can deal 1 damage, deal additional damage, It's basically a deterrent from people attacking, or if they don't see it, you're just like, hey, yep, attack me with your 3 toughness creature. Oh, sorry, 1 damage to it, then 2 damage to it. I wouldn't try to be that type of person. I would just tell them, hey, I have a desert, you might not want to attack me. The rest of the mana base here is just straightforward, Is it lands? We do not have Shivan Reef. Remember I said at the beginning, because it deals 1 damage, and with Ghyrson it'll deal 3 damage to you. Don't want to do that. Fire Rate Islet's different because you tap, pay 1 life. So this explicitly says deal 1 damage. This says pay 1 life. So this is fine. We have the dual lands. We have the 2 channel lands. Destined Stage, Vasura to copy things. Urza Saga to get our Basilisk Collar, Soul Ring, etc. So I think that's really nifty there. Scavenger Grounds to kill some graveyards because, graveyard hate is very important. Every deck's a graveyard deck. Remember that. Then you have your basic land. This is more heavily leans towards reds, but I love having lots of basics. It's just super fun to just drop down land. Don't worry if it hurts you. Don't worry if it comes and play tap. Just drop down land, play it. Love the basics. All right. So that is our deck tech so far. If you enjoy this deck tech, give the video a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new videos in the future. I have the deck list in the description below, along with all my cool affiliate links. Help support the channel. Help me buy these expensive 40K decks so I can build more decks for you to see on YouTube. And so anyways, we are going to shuffle this deck up, and we'll do a little go fishing, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Let's start with Ghyrson Starn. Now, Ghyrson is a 3 mana value creature, which does, of course, we have a very clogged 3-drop spot. Usually you want to play your pinger first, then Ghyrson, because you can just play Ghyrson, and then if somebody tries to kill it, you can at least ping, get your value right away. Let's see what we get. All right, we got some lands. Shokunzun can make 1/1s that will trigger Ghyrson, which is pretty cool. This is a land, have a Signet, so it's not too bad. Oh, turn 1 play, Gorgon's Head. All right, let's see what we get. And we have a pinger. Always try to get a pinger, at least 1. And this one has haste too, so it's really good. Electrolyze, pretty good. All right, let's start our turn. Garrett Dice there, turn 1. Oh, another pinger. Cunning Spark Mage. Ooh, double haste. That's pretty cool. All right, so what we'll do is play our island. Actually, we have double red here, so let's play our Shokunzun to get our red going. Tap this, we'll play a Gorgon's Head. Right there, give it a little Ghyrson Starn Death Touch, so it can just mow people down. So that's kind of cool. Turn 2. 1000-Year Elixir. Okay, we do have a mana rock. Is it Signet? We'll play our island. There. We'll play Is it Signet? All right, good start. 1-drop, 2-drop. Guaranteed 3-drop because we have a creature and a land. All right, turn 3. Let's see what we get. Training Center. Sweet. Okay, so let's see what we want to play. I think we do want to play one of these guys and just do the haste burn. We do is pump this blue, get the red here, get the extra red here. They're essentially the same. This one's a little bit better because it's an extra point of power. So we'll play this one. Bolshevik Sorcerer. And then we can save it. We could ping at the end of turn. Then what we could do is we could play our Seagate Reborn. So we can save ourselves 3 damage. Right there as Seagate Reborn. Pass the turn, turn 4. But before turn 4, ping for 1, of course. Always do that. Turn 4. So the cool part here is now we draw a card. All right, wish you got land, but it's okay. We got 5 mana here. What we can do is play Ghyrson. Right there. And then we can just equip our Gorgon's Head on turn 4. Now, anything we deal damage to with this pinger, boom, instant death because Ghyrson deal 2 damage to that and it has Death Touch. So now we could just, you know, keep people from negotiate, I guess. Negotiate with people. All right, at end of turn, of course you got to kill something, right? Kill something. Boom. With the 1 damage here, 2 damage there. It's wonderful. Or deal, 3 damage to some player if you have nothing else to kill. Turn 5. Shadow Skull Smashing. All right, so we got choices here. We could electrolyze things. Cunning Spark Mage, 1000 Elixir, set that up. Niv Mizzet, Fire Mine. That does cost all 6, so we rather just spread out our 3 mana value things. So I think what we could do first is electrolyze and see what card we get. So we'll just do that. We'll cast our electrolyze here. Let's do this. Cast electrolyze, 1 damage to another creature, 1 damage to another creature. Ghyrson would trigger, do 2 damage, death touch to it. We draw a card. Garblin's Sharpshooter. Okay, that definitely tells us what we want to do now. We will, this doesn't tap. Pay 3 for that. Yeah, so essentially we have a board wipe. We'll play Shadow Skull Smashing. We'll take the 3 damage this time. Love these mold double face cards. Definitely the ones come and play untapped if we want them to. We'll take 3. We'll play a Goblin Sharpshooter. Right there. Or we could wait till next turn. We play 1000 Year Elixir, Goblin Sharpshooter, and give it pseudo haste. So you can kill something right away. So you know what? We don't need that. We'll just play Cunning Spark Mage. And now we have 2 killing machines here. Bam, bam, bam. We'll pass the turn. Turn 6. Ooh, a land, which is even better. Helps our 1000 Year Elixir. So what we'll do is we'll just play this land. We didn't draw a lot of our card draw. I guess we got Niv Mizzet, that's card draw, but we'll just play 1000 Year Elixir right there. What we'll do here is now we have not Cunning Spark Mage, Goblin Sharpshooter at best pinger in the deck. Right there. Then you could just say, deal 1 damage to a creature. Creature dies. They have Ghyrson will kill it with his death touch. Boom, untap. Basically kill every creature on the board with this setup right here. Bam, 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 bam. And then it ends up untap. Then if you want to, you could, 1000 Year Elixir. Tap this, deal 3 damage to a player. 1000 Year Elixir, tap it, untap it again, deal another 3 damage to a player. It's pretty good. All right, we'll just do our extra turn. But at this point, if they don't kill our combination of creatures, we essentially have infinite board wipe. So that's pretty good for us. Turn 7. Vesuva, okay. It's not bad. We will play our Niv Mizzet, the Fire Mind. I'll keep a dual land untapped, even though I don't really care. We'll play this, the Fire Mind. Now, remember, 1000 Year Elixir does apply to this Niv. So we just draw a card right away. Boom, island, a mountain, I mean. Draw a card right away. Let's see what kind of lands we can copy with Vesuva. And we don't want to really copy anything, so we'll just play it as a training center. That's cool. And then we could, if we want to draw more cards, we tap this to untap Niv Mizzet. Since we have 3 things that can kill, well, this kills every creature, so it doesn't really need a 1000 Year Elixir. So just tap, draw another card. Otawara. So 2 lands, not bad, but next turn we can just draw 2-3 cards a turn. See what these cards are. Ristic Study, Tandem Lookout. Oh my God, that's insane. All right, our engine is on board. Ghyrson Starn is really neat. Anyways, if you enjoyed this deck tech, give the video a thumbs up. Smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new videos in the future. And I have the deck list in the description below, along with all the affiliate links. Help support the channel and such, and help me create all these cool decks and afford these very expensive cards, like this card. And maybe Ristic Study, that's expensive too. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this deck tech, and I hope you have a wonderful day.